everybody, and welcome back to the United Stand. It is countdown to kick off the build-up show. Manchester United take on Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. A very, very, very tricky game for us in the past. We've got some nights at Selhurst Park that we want to forget. Today is where we make new memories. And we continue to kick on from 2 back-to-back wins. Can Manchester United get 2 back-to-back away wins? A really tricky game. And with Chelsea winning, with Liverpool winning, with Spurs currently winning, Man United have to win this game. We cannot afford to slip up. We are joined with Mordzs and also a new addition, Daniel. Daniel, first of all, welcome to the channel.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I mean, how are you feeling towards this game? Are you excited? I know last season, obviously, 4-0 to Crystal Palace. This season, are you feeling a little bit more positive?
A little bit more. I think we have a better back line than we did in that game, which I'm sure we'll get into. But I went to that game last year.
Did you go to Selhurst?
Yeah.
Oh. Do you remember seeing Casemiro just getting absolutely turned by Elise, I think it was. Tell you what, Elise scoring for Bayern. I'm glad he's scoring for Bayern. I'm not turning up to Selhurst Park today because he could have caused
He's doing well, to be
damage.
fair, over there, I'm not going to lie. He's doing very well, yeah.
He's doing very well. I mean, everybody get in your predictions and all your comments in down below as well. Going to discuss Crystal Palace. Not quite picked up the form that they had towards the end of last season when Gosner came in. Haven't got a win over the line so far this season. I think they've got 2 draws and 2 losses. Yeah. So not great from Palace, but we know that they have dangerous players. Eze obviously is a massive one. Wharton in the midfield is someone that we'll have to nullify. Mateta is doing the business. We were just speaking about him before we went live. So there's definitely players to watch in that Palace team. And obviously it's always been a tricky place for us to go. I mean, Mordzs, what is your memories of Man United going to Selhurst Park? Because I'll share something.
Okay, yeah.
Me to actually get onto the United Stand, when I was like talking with Goldbridge and stuff about, you know, coming on, he asked me to send in a video like me speaking about the game, the previous game that we just played, and it was a loss. Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. And I just remember as well, like previous times, obviously the 4-0 and Casemiro just literally like beating Casemiro. Yeah. And as well, I remember that Elise free kick, I think it was to make it a draw, or was it a 1-0 win to them or something like that?
I think it was a winner.
It's always a tough place to go for Man United, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I've got a bad memory as well of Crystal Palace. To be fair, mine was actually at home, and I was taking my friend to his first ever United game. This was maybe last season or the season before that. Crystal Palace at home, and we didn't score. I think it was it either 0-0 or 1-0 to them? Someone could check. But,
I'll check.
Yeah, it was either 0-0. I just know that United didn't score. So I think it was either 0-0 or 1-0 to them, and it was like genuinely like the worst first game to ever go to. And it was like a hospitality sheet as well. You were like so excited for the game. Like, yeah, United are going to score today. Like, it's the first game, they're going to score. We didn't. So yeah, poor result.
Yeah, I mean, our last... It was that Elise free kick was a 1-1 draw. Our last few away games against Palace. So obviously, last season was the 4-0 Palace win. Damn. The season before that was the 1-1 draw. Then it was a 1-0 win to Crystal Palace. Then it was a 0-0 draw before that.
And these are the away results.
The last time we beat Palace at Selhurst Park. The last time we beat Palace at Selhurst Park. Oh my gosh. Where do you have to go back to here? You have to go back to... The last time we beat him at Selhurst Park, you have to go back to July 2020.
2020, Ollie?
2020, yeah.
COVID?
Oh,
yeah.
It was in the goal kit, wasn't it? I think it was like the goal kit.
Did it even have fans?
2-0. 2-0. It was 2-0 to Manchester United on the 16th of July in 2020. After that, let me get that result up. It was 0-0 at Selhurst after that. Then it was 1-0 win to Palace. Then it was a draw 1-1. Then it was a loss and then it was a loss 4-0 to Crystal Palace, which is obviously last season. So Palace, the last time we actually beat them at Selhurst was in 2020. 4 years have gone by. Is today, Daniel, is today the time that we're going to turn the tide, not only in terms of, you know, getting our own back on Palace at Selhurst, but also Erik ten Hag, more Premier League away losses than wins. Away games has been a struggle for him. He has to put 2 back-to-back now, doesn't he, together?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, especially in London, I think United have struggled. I think they've got 2 wins in the last 16 when they play away in London. Yeah. But I do think, like I said before, we are more defensively sound than last year. Johnny Evans was out for 5 weeks and then had 1 training session, came in for the Palace game. So and having Casemiro by his side, that game was never really going to work out, was it? I don't think. And then it showed in the result,
And Palace was obviously on a really good spell of form at that moment in time, and the new manager bounced. And I do think Arsenal is a good manager. They've started the season. They've lost quite a few players, obviously. I think Anderson's a big loss for them at the back. Going to speak about that, and obviously Elise's a big loss too. But they still have got players. A lot of people ask me where my United shirt's gone. I've gone for the business look today because Ten Hag needs to do the business.
Smart casual.
No messing about. No messing about. It is business only today.
Yeah, 100%.
And do you know, I was speaking to a few people, Mords, and they're like, oh, United have to be winning that game. United have to be winning that game. I think Crystal Palace away is a tough place for anybody. Yeah. But maybe Man City, potentially maybe Arsenal, but even Arsenal, really.
Got like a last-minute winner last time.
Tough place for anyone to go to, no matter what. But our next 3 Premier League games for Manchester United, Crystal Palace away, Spurs at home, Aston Villa away. You know, we were only just recovered from that Liverpool game that was a shocker.
Yeah.
We should have beat Brighton, didn't end up doing. It was a loss. You know, everyone's got excited because we scored 10 goals in the last 2 games, and obviously it's great to have 2 clean sheets and scoring the amount of goals we did. But let's be real, Southampton are relegation fodder and Barnsley are League One. Like, this is where there's nowhere to hide, and this is where we'll have to get to see if Man United are really up to it this season.
100%, and then even, just before we were recording, I was saying, like, Ten Hag, it's I feel like every single game now is like do or die. Like, if you lose it, everyone's going to look at you and think Ten Hag might be sacked the next day. It's one of them ones where it's like, yes, the conversations have been going on for a while now. It's not new conversations, but, especially considering those next 3 games, Crystal Palace is going to be difficult today. Spurs at home is going to be difficult anyway, and then he was the last one, Aston Villa. I mean, I know they're not winning now, but Aston Villa are still a very good team. They could definitely, we'd only just about beat them last season. I remember the Højlund, his first goal of the season, where we won 3-2. So, look, there are going to be 3 very difficult games. And I think, if Ten Hag was to get 3 good results, he's putting himself, he's writing his name on the wall for the rest of, I'd say, this year at least, if he gets 3 very good results. But if it goes the other way around, he might not even make December.
I've got a message in from Sam.
Okay.
I'm about to blow up Twitter with the team news.
Oh my gosh. I've seen some people put in there some crazy things.
Yeah, so that to me, that's either obviously, Eriksen starting, which I don't think would be. I don't think that would be like blowing it up. Do you know what I think it is? I think he's gone with Ahmad Garnacho and Rashford as a front 3. I think he's dropped Xerxes. That's what I think. I don't know yet.
Blow up Twitter?
Mount and Højlund are coming back. Don't know if they go straight in.
Maybe Højlund starts.
I think someone's injured again. I think that's gonna get on a lot of people. That's gonna be like a big player that probably shouldn't get injured.
Well, maybe Anthony starts. People are saying.
That would blow up everything.
that would blow up Twitter. But I mean, get in the comments down below what you think it is. I'm trying to get it off Sam shortly. I've messaged him, and hopefully he'll message me back very soon. But it has just been pictured as well that Mount and Rasmus Højlund are with the Manchester United squad. We obviously knew Rasmus was there last night. Now we know Mount is there too. Daniel, are you excited to have these 2 players back, and do you think they could be making an impact off the bench today for Manchester United?
Definitely. I think especially with Højlund, because Xerxes, it sort of has and it hasn't worked out, I don't think. He sort of has played that false 9 role, but I feel like that's where Bruno plays. So when the wingers do get the ball, there's no one in the box to cross it into. But then with Mount as well, we need more players in the midfield. We need as much as possible, of course. Yeah. And I think, obviously, starting Toby Collier the other night against Barnsley was good, but you don't start him in this type of game. So to have Mount sort of back in the mix really helps. What
are your thoughts on Mount? Because obviously, first time on the channel. So there's obviously, I know what Mordzs' opinions are, and, I know what Ricky's opinions are, but Mount is a very divisive player in the Man United fan base. Some people can't get their head around why we signed him. Some people like what he brings. Some people like him but just don't know where he fits. Like, what are your thoughts on him?
I think that last point that you made there about you don't know where he fits, it is sort of that, because we saw that Wolves' first home game of the season last year. We pressed too high, the midfield was exposed, and for the rest of the season that sort of continued really. But I do think he is a great squad player to have in the team. See what he's done at Chelsea. He did really well over there, but I just don't think he starts in this United team unless Bruno left for whatever reason in the future, but it's not going to happen.
Change of heart.
Mount might come in, but yeah, I see him as a squad player.
Yeah. Well, Bruno's just signed a new contract. He's captain. I mean, he's very, very, very unlikely. I mean, get in the comments down below what you think. Trying to get the team news ASAP coming to you guys, because I'm really excited. Well, I'm not
scared.
excited.
I'm scared.
Ooh, okay, team news.
As you said it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, my FPL keeps falling off a cliff here, guys. Honestly, I need to. I've wildcarded this week, and anyway. But you want the team news. The team news, and it's coming in from Sam C Reports, is that his understanding is that Marcus Rashford is not in the Manchester United starting 11 tonight against Crystal Palace. So, Sam C Reports, his understanding is that Marcus Rashford is not in the Manchester United starting 11.
Wow, that's big.
My head is scrambled. My big question is, he's played every single game, even when he's been poor. Yeah. He suddenly strings 2 back-to-back good games together, and now he's not in the starting 11. I've just put him in my FPL team, Eric.
Ten Hag is confusing. I don't understand his logic sometimes, because when everyone was crying out for Rashford to be dropped, that's when he said, no, I'm going to stick with my player. I'm going to play him every single week. I'm even going to play him up front if I have to. I'm going to put him somewhere in this team. And like you said, all of a sudden, now that his confidence has maybe switched a little bit, I'll be honest, that Barnsley game, and I've said this a million times, yeah, I get it's only Barnsley, but his confidence looks completely different. Some of the things that he was doing, he wasn't doing them before because he was too scared to do it in case he makes a mistake. But now, and not just the Barnsley game, obviously the game before that as well, his confidence kind of switched a little bit now that he's getting these goals and these, I don't know if he got any assists, but did he get an assist last game? Can't remember. I know he got
Rashford, he got an assist.
Yeah, and he got an assist. But now he's getting these goal contributions anyway. He seems like his mentality kind of switched a little bit, and he's having a bit more fun on the pitch, which is what we want to see from Rashford. To drop him now, I mean, I'm assuming he's obviously going to put Garnacho on the left and Ahmad on the right. It's like, well, why now? What about this game is making you think, no, Rashford can't play this game? Or is this going to change Rashford's confidence again? Is this going to make him go back into the old Rashford, but the Rashford that we've seen last season? It could have a more negative effect than I think positive.
The only reason why I think he's made it is maybe a tactical decision, because I know Rashford, he's not that good at breaking teams down. And for whatever reason, because obviously Palace play a back 3, if they do go to a back 5, you're having to break a team down there, aren't you? Yeah. So if I could see possibly Eriksen starting as well. Obviously, we've not got the full team news yet, but I could see Eriksen starting, and Garnacho and Ahmad, I feel like they link the play better when it comes into midfield and then receive the ball back. And I feel like that might create a little bit more chance than if Rashford would play. That's the only reason why I could think.
You're right though, because with Crystal Palace as well, based on their formation and the way they play, they do like to pack up that midfield. They play obviously with wing backs, so their midfield they're going to have a lot more players in that midfield. So you're going to want a player like Ahmad. Potentially, I don't necessarily think Garnacho comes into midfield as much as Ahmad does, but I do think on the ball he does keep it a lot better than Rashford does. So maybe, like you said, that could be the reasoning as to why he's obviously dropped Rashford. I'm
going to be honest, I don't think it's... I mean, I understand why you'd say it was tactical, because I think other people think like that. But I don't think in Erik ten Hag's mind it's tactical, and I don't think he just prefers to play Garnacho and Ahmad. I think there's 2 things here. Right, there's no way that Erik ten Hag, Rashford, hadn't scored a goal since March. He'd been super poor. So many people have been calling for him to be dropped. Played him. There's 0 chance that when he scored in back-to-back games, Erik ten Hag's like, you know what, now you can hold the bench. I don't think that's the case. I think there's either two reasons. 1, he's maybe picked up a knock, or he's slightly injured. Or 2, he's been late. like he was against Wolves, and Ten Hag's like, you know what, like, these are my principles, these are my rules that everyone has to follow. That's what I think. I so highly doubt that after playing him when he was playing poor, for me, I think he had his best game in a long time against Southampton. Then obviously I know it's Barnsley, but scoring 2 goals, getting assists, and looked like the best player. It was either him or Garnacho for man of the match, a lot of people were saying, and maybe Eriksen as well. There's no way that Ten Hag's like, you know what, yeah, now you're going to go to the bench. I just don't think Erik ten Hag would ever drop him. He's been bigging him up in his press conferences. I think it has to be injury.
Yeah, maybe, but my thing as well is that this is technically what Ten Hag should have been doing anyway. Like, he should have actually been rotating, especially, you know, those front 3 players, Rashford, Garnacho, Ahmad, even Anthony at times, and whoever's playing up front, whether it's Zertsky or Højlund. He should have been rotating the team a lot more than he was before. So really and truly, this is like, as much as I'm saying that I'm confused, I'm actually a bit happy just because like, this is actually going to help the team a lot more because Rashford's not going to have to play every single game. Now we know that he's a bit more confident in, we say dropping. I don't call it dropping because when Pep doesn't play Foden, you're not going to say, oh, Foden got dropped. He's going to say you rotated him. When he doesn't play Doku doesn't get dropped, Grealish doesn't get dropped. They just get rotated because they're all good enough to play. Right. It's just there's a lot of games in the season. We saw Rodri complaining the other day about playing 60, 70 games in a season. They're all good enough to play, but you need to rotate your team or everyone's going to get fatigued. So it's not actually a bad thing. If he continues to do this and play Garnacho one game, Rashford one game, Ahmad one game, etc., it could actually help the team in the long run.
Do you know what I'm absolutely fuming about? The fact I've literally just put him in my FPL. Because I thought, he's going to go on a run now. He's going to go on a run. Like, oh, honestly, can't even write it. Can't write it, can you? Yeah. DV, I mean, obviously it's more about United winning.
Yeah, 100%.
And whatever it takes to win. And, you know, obviously Garnacho coming in for Rashford, it's not a bad rotation, let's be honest, because Garnacho, you know, he's been looking so sharp at the start of this season. Yeah. You know, the amount of goal contributions he's had, and he could have even had 2 more. Obviously missed basically an open net against Fulham, and then that Brighton goal with like the Xerxes knee. And you know, he's I think Ten Hag's managed his minutes really well. He's looked super sharp because of it. You know, last season when he was playing game after game after game, obviously automatically when you've not got too much competition, it's not as if it's like consciously, but subconsciously you know there's not someone coming in to take your place if you have a bad performance. Now he's having to fight to get into the team, which obviously elevates your performance levels, but also like you're able to perform at a higher level, have more sharpness, be quicker, you know, even mentally be less fatigued because you're not being run into the ground. And I think that's so Garnacho on the current form he's in, he's more than capable of playing on that left. Yeah. But got some super chats in before we get the full team in. DV says, guys, am I the only one that's slightly nervous? I mean, are you guys nervous?
I'm optimistic.
A little bit. Not as nervous as last season.
Okay.
No way, yeah.
Okay, well, Ten Hag said himself, he's got squad to pick from now. Yeah. He said there's no way that it'll be that result again. Famous last words. You'd like to think it won't be. So yeah, I think we'll win this game. Enjoy Writing says we need to get a result today. Can't lose. 100%. James McCullen says, who's got any United players in FPL team? Me being absolutely stupid, I do.
I've got Bruno.
I've got Rashford and Mazraoui. Did have Bruno. Took him out for Rashford, and anyway. Michaela Rivero says, it's normal rotation. Rashford has played way more minutes. And Tom Padgett, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. I just don't see Ten Hag thinking it's rotation.
He should, though.
I don't think it's his thinking. I think it is injury. Or he's been late. I just don't see Ten Hag being like, you know what, you've scored 2 goals now. Sorry, 3 goals in the last 2 games. Yeah. Now you can go on the bench after... You know, all this time of not
doesn't normally pick up that many injuries. He's not that kind of player. Maybe, I think last season he played quite a few games. He got injured at one point, I think, but he's not that kind of player to pick up little knocks here and there. So. And
it's not like he's saving him for the Europa League against FC Twente in midweek, is he? So,
I don't know.
Yeah, obviously something's.
Sam's just put in the chat on the chat on the build-up show. He said he doesn't think it's injury.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Maybe it's just rotation. Yeah. Eric, maybe you bamboozle me every week. Daniel Longbottom says, I'm happy if Rashford doesn't start. We have been crying for years about depth of the squad. The reason City win is because of the size of their squad. That is a very, 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 very fair point. Yeah. And guys, I'm not saying necessarily like what I would do. I'm saying how I think Erik ten Hag thinks. That's what I'm saying. Why I can't understand it, but here we are. Also, apparently it is Ahmad, Garnacho and Xerxes who start as the front 3 for Manchester United. I mean, Daniel touched on Xerxes a little bit. A lot of people were saying they were really impressed with his performance against Southampton, despite not getting that goal. Did have a couple of opportunities. Probably does need to be more clinical. But overall, you know, the game that he's bringing to Manchester United, are you happy with him so far?
Yeah, it's something different, isn't it? And I feel like that's what United haven't had for a long time, especially up front as well. You can have your vocal man in Højlund up front. You can play your false 9 in Xerxes, you know. Certain games where United need to set up differently, they've got those options now, which is so important.
Do you think Xerxes, it will be a game suited for him today at Crystal Palace?
It depends how Palace play. If, like last season, they come out and high press again, then possibly, because you could expect Ahmed and Garnacho to go in behind and Xerxes to thread balls into them. Equally, if we're breaking them down, I don't see Xerxes as that man who's going to turn with his back face into goal and score. I'd see that more from Højlund, I think.
Yeah.
When obviously Højlund's in the squad today, probably he's going to get some minutes off the bench, you'd like to think. Do you think that's going to be really competitive for that number 9 spot? Who do you think edges it at the moment?
I mean, off Euros form, because Højlund's obviously not played this season, it would be Rasmus Højlund. Xerxes played a couple of minutes, was it? I think, in the Euros. Yeah. But of course, Xerxes played for United these first 4 games. I think Højlund just edges it, just because of what he's done last season. I think that puts him in good stead.
Yeah, got the number 9 shirt now.
Yeah,
but Xerxes today, Mords, Højlund's on the bench. He's chomping at the bit to probably get your spot.
Yeah.
There's that pressure on Xerxes now, like, perform, because Højlund's there waiting to come and take it.
Yeah, and look, the problem with being a striker, and I'd actually hate to be a striker at that level, because it doesn't matter how good you play, if you don't put your name on the score sheet as a goal and assist, people are always going to look at you and think, well, we need you to do that. Even though you might be one of the best players at linking up play, or you might just be so technically gifted on the ball, if you're not getting goals, if you're not getting assists, people are always going to hold you to that standard, which they should, because you are a striker, that is supposed to be your main job. So I think the fact that, me personally, I just think Højlund's a better goal scorer. I think he can create his own goals a lot better as well than Xerxes. I feel like Xerxes needs to be facilitated to get his goals, whereas Højlund can create a chance for me, get the ball one touch, get a couple of yards and take a shot and potentially score. I think because of that, he's going to get more goals than Xerxes this season if he plays more minutes, obviously. And that's, for me, why I would say he edges that number 9 position.
Interesting stuff. A lot of people on the chat having their opinion as well. People saying Xerxes is a lot better at holding and passing, but Højlund's more of a striker. Interesting stuff. The thing is, what Erik ten Hag said himself is good that you've got 2 different profiles for different types of games. And, today, like Daniel said, if Palace decide to high press us like they did last season, Xerxes is probably going to have a good time. If they do go for that game plan where you have to go and break them down and they kind of sit in a little bit, Højlund off the bench could work wonders. So you have them 2 different styles of strikers.
Do you think Xerxes could do that Mount role that Mount was supposed to be doing at that second 10 next to Bruno?
Even more deeper, you're talking about than
Bruno?
Deep,
not too. Maybe Bruno will be a bit more deeper in it, but that role where it's there's a 4-2-4 where you've got 4 at the front and everyone's pressing in that kind of system. But he's also got the ability to drop deep, like how he does do anyway, but then pick up the ball and create just as much as Bruno probably creates as well. I think, in my opinion, he could do it. I don't think he will. I don't think Ten Hag would put him in that kind of situation, but I genuinely think he has the ability to be able to do that. And he plays so deep anyway. There's times where he's at the halfway line picking up the ball and he's making plays and he's making moves. So I don't think it's out of the world to say that he could do that Mount role and play Højlund at the same time.
I'm just going to say, if United lack creativity, that could be an option, because it makes the most sense as well, doesn't it? So we'll see.
I definitely think we will see Xerxes and Rasmus play together at some point. Where I don't know if it'll be in a starting lineup, but obviously when subs are made, I think they will play together, and I think they are more than capable of playing together. Ten Hag said we've got 2 strikers who can play together and also can play in different games, and I think a lot of people, I want to see it. Because I think Xerxes, with his, his vision, the through balls he can thread through and his hold-up play, Højlund running in behind, that combination is nice to me. I like that.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Rooney and Van Persie. Sort of with Rooney slotting in just behind. Yeah. And obviously, they're probably not that good, obviously. But you never know.
We'd like them to reach that level. Ruud van Nistelrooy, what have you got for us? Can you make it happen? But no, I understand your kind of analogy on that one. A lot of people asking about Ugarte, whether he starts. We'll get that news in very, very, very shortly. Marco Garcia, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. Everybody get your predictions in, any hot takes or any comments, get them in the chat and we'll discuss them. 2 minutes to team news, full team news. On the spot, Mords, will he start Ugarte?
Well, will he start Ugarte? Will Ten Hag start Ugarte? Yes, I think he will. I don't think it's a crazy difference though if he was to start Eriksen. I don't think it would be the fall off his career. I don't think it'll be a huge fall off if Eriksen was to start. They're 2 very different players. That's a completely different conversation. They're 2 different players and the way they play will be different, but I don't think the fall off between Ugarte and Eriksen is that big. So if he was to start Eriksen, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, what's he doing? Or do you think Eriksen can play in a game like this? He played 90 minutes the other day. He played, can't remember how long he played for the Southampton game, but he played for most of that game. So yeah, I think either way, the team's still going to play well. So yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if he played Ugarte or Eriksen.
Daniel, what do you think Ten Hag will do? Do you think it'll be Ugarte and Mainu, or do you think it'll be Eriksen and Mainu, or it could even be Ugarte and Eriksen? Who knows? But I doubt that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be because he rested him midweek, Ugarte and Mainu, because he rested Mainu. Yeah. I think Ugarte, what we really suffered from last season at Palace away was the high press, like I said before, the energetic that they brought, the energy that they brought. Sorry. And Ugarte defines that, doesn't he? I mean, see what he did at PSG and Barnsley as well. He's just that energetic player that United need in the midfield to win those second balls, which United have been lacking to get in recent times. Yeah. So he suits this game perfectly, I think. Yeah,
I think it depends on that how he, not necessarily how he sets up, but in terms of that style of play. Because obviously you spoke about that high press and being more aggressive off the ball, but then on the other side, we could have most of the possession today. You know, if he was to set up in a different way, he could set up for us to hold the ball a lot more. Instead of us having to chase the game, you got the team.
And it's exactly what I said I thought it would be.
Okay, now I want to hear it. Go on, hear it.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right.
Ugarte doesn't start. And I said midweek, I don't think Ten Hag, he doesn't change a winning team.
Yeah, I'm saying.
That's why I don't think he's put Rashford on the bench for tactical reasons. Yeah. I think that he must have a knock or he's turned up late because he doesn't change a winning team. Yeah. The team is Onana, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Martinez and Diallo. Midfield three of Mainu, Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes, and a front three of Garnacho, Ahmad and Xerxes.
I'm not surprised.
And then the bench is Bayindir, Evans, Maguire, Casemiro, Mount, Ugarte, Anthony, Højlund and Rashford.
At least we've got a good bench.
Bench is strong.
At least we've got a good bench.
Bench is actually really strong. Every single one of them players, if they came on, I'd be like, you could do something for us. Yeah. Like, there's no one there I'm like, oh, they can't come on. Like, every single one of them has got a use. So, I mean, get in the comments down below what you think. Ugarte on the bench. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it. Ten Hag doesn't change a winning team, and that's why I need to hear what his comments are on the Rashford thing.
But like I said, I genuinely don't think that's in terms of the midfield, I don't think it's a bad midfield, because when the Southampton game, when he started Eriksen, that's when I was like, what's he doing? Like, why on earth is I've not seen Eriksen playing, starting a United top for a very long time. And he started him and Eriksen had a good game. Next game against Barnsley, he started him again. Yes, it's only Barnsley, but Eriksen had a good game. Arguably man of the match in that game. I don't think it'd be that much of a difference today again. And we spoke before about the Palace team. They like to pack up that midfield. They play with the wing backs. They play with three at the back, wing backs. You're going to see Eze come into midfield a lot. That's how he likes to play. So they're going to have a lot of players in that midfield. You're going to need someone who can hold the ball a lot better. I think, in my opinion, Eriksen holds the ball better than Ugarte does. Ugarte defensively is far better than Eriksen, and I think everyone can agree with that. But in terms of keeping the ball, in terms of being creative, Eriksen's going to be that player. So, like I said, it's about style of play. If Ten Hag was to go with that possession-based football, which realistically that's what he wants to play anyway in general, I think Eriksen genuinely might be his favourite pick.
Well, I'm just going to put it out there. Sam C reports, goated, unreal. Yeah. Like, the fact he got that Rashford scoop as well, that he doesn't start, and he was obviously correct, you know, no one should ever doubt him. But also on that, I'm going to be honest, now I'll throw this over to you, Daniel. As good as Eriksen's been in the last two games, again, we're talking about Southampton and Barnsley here, I do not think that Eriksen is physical enough for what Crystal Palace might have in store for us today, as good as he is on the ball. What are your thoughts?
I completely agree. I always go back to the Brighton semi-final in the FA Cup, where he got taken off at half-time. I think Eriksen got taken off. Brighton overran him in midfield. And if you're saying they're going to pack out midfield, that's worrying, because if Eriksen plays sort of deeper as a defensive mid, which I think that'll be more likely Mainu, I don't know. I just think we're going to get overrun in midfield. And Eriksen, I don't think he'll come off at half-time, but Ugarte, this game's made for him, I think.
It is going to be a very physical game. And I remember the game that we lost anyway against Crystal Palace, when it was, I think, was Casemiro centre back that game, or was he in
the 4-0? Yeah, with Johnny Evans at the back.
Yeah. So it was almost like there was no one behind him as well. So you had pretty much no strong defence behind him. Then you had Eriksen by himself, but it was difficult. It was going to be a very difficult game for him in that game. So I just want to see how because obviously you said before, Eriksen's more likely going to play a bit further forward than Mainoo, which means it's going to be such a difficult game for Mainoo today, in my opinion. He's going to have to be that physical player, which I don't think he is in general. I don't think he's he's going to grow into that player eventually, but right now, he's not the quickest, he's not the strongest. He's going to be coming up against, Wharton, Hughes. Like I said before, the fullback's going to be in the midfield. It's going to be difficult for Mainoo, and hopefully, Eriksen, hopefully he can keep the ball as good as he is, because if he can't and he's losing the ball in that midfield, it's going to be long for Mainoo, I'll be honest. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't agree with that selection by Ten Hag, but let's hope I'm wrong and that he proves why he's the coach. Jeremiah says, as long as both strikers perform, it doesn't matter who is better. We need a squad, not individuals. Manix SJ says, Rashford has struggled so much. He's finally scoring, getting his confidence back. Dropping him now is ridiculous. We are going to struggle today. And I'm going to be honest, guys. I have to agree. I think if he has made the decision to drop him, as much as Garnacho has been good and it's good to have competitive wingers, I don't see the logic in it, because we finally got Rashford scoring. Allow him to continue that and build on his confidence. When he's firing, and you want him in the team. So I don't want to halt that, but maybe off the bench he might prove to have an impact and score off there. And Ten Hag's played a masterclass, but let's see. We've got Crystal Palace fan in the room with us now as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Can I just ask, sorry, what is your name? I didn't get told it before we went live, and I'd like to know, obviously, everyone's names who we're speaking to.
Yeah, no worries. D.
D?
Yeah.
D, thank you so much for joining us and speaking to us. I just want to initially come to you and ask you, I don't know if you've seen the starting 11 for Manchester United, but Marcus Rashford is on the bench. Alejandro Garnacho comes into the team. As a Palace fan who's obviously, don't want Manchester United to score against you, how do you feel about that Erik Ten Hag's made that decision?
That's actually, I haven't seen the United lineup. I've literally just been looking at the Palace lineup, and I've been looking at who's starting for us. But that's actually interesting, because I thought maybe with how we've started the season so far defensively, I thought maybe Rashford's pace, especially on the counter, could have come good. But I think that's a bold move by Ten Hag. But let's see if it does play out, because Rashford dialogue has been going on for ages, it feels like now, in terms of, is he good enough? Does he need to do more? And against Southampton, he performed well, I thought, from watching that game, especially with the goal that he scored. So I thought he was going to start this game, but Garnacho has come off the bench a few times, has had his moments, but it's not. I don't think there's like a straightforward answer to have between Rashford and Garnacho. Some people may disagree, but I think Garnacho on his day, he has proven himself. So I think Ten Hag is betting that Garnacho shows the form that he has shown when he has come off the bench a few times this season.
And then in terms of your starting 11, I just quickly need to have a look at it. I've just been focusing on Manchester United. But are you happy with it? And what threats do you think you can pose against Manchester United based on what you've seen from us so far this season?
Yeah, with the starting 11, there's a big question mark in that midfield option. Kamada's going to be starting there, and he hasn't played particularly well in that midfield too. But Wharton's starting, which will be good to see Wharton against Mainoo. I think Mainoo should be starting this game. I haven't seen the United lineup.
He is starting, yeah.
Yeah. So that should be interesting. But Kamada, I'm looking at, if you're a United fan, if you're looking at this game saying where can you hurt Palace potentially, is Kamada, because that midfield too of Wharton, Kamada, he has played against West Ham in that position coming off the bench, which I think cost us the game, especially his defensive efforts. And even against QPR, he had good moments going forward, but defensively, he just hasn't really adapted yet to the Premier League. So, I'm happy with the lineup. There isn't much else that Glasner could have done. I'm just surprised about Kamada starting in midfield. We've got Eze there, and Nketiah, of course, you lot would know from Arsenal days. He's been performing well so far in the 2 games that he's played. He scored a goal against QPR last game, but his overall game, you could see that now that he's playing 90 minutes of football at a new club, he's kind of grew in confidence. So I think that's a player that a lot of people laugh at normally when you see Nketiah on the team sheet, but he has actually been performing well and one of our best players so far. So yeah, we've got our threats. We've had a slow start to the season. In terms of areas that United could target, as I said, Kamada and the defence. The defence hasn't been at the levels that it should be, especially the likes of Mark Gahey, who's been rumoured with a move to Newcastle. But so far this season, I think he started the season a bit too slow for my liking, and for his liking as well. He said it as well in his press conference after the Leicester game, saying that he could have done better for the goals, and hopefully this could be the game where he turns it around, because he's actually trained more with England than Oliver Glasner due to his injuries towards the end of last season. So yeah, so we're still adapting. We've had our problems defensively, but I think we've got enough there to cause United problems.
I mean, I'm hoping that Bruno Fernandes and Joshua Zirkzee there can kind of cause some issues then, if you're talking about that little weak spot maybe being the double pivot that is in your midfield. I mean, Mords, did you want to ask a question today?
Yeah, I got a question. So obviously we've just got our lineup, and obviously the big talking point is obviously Eriksen starting in that midfield, and you spoke about your midfield and with Kamada saying he is potentially your weakness. I just want to know where in the United, in our starting 11, would you say is our weakest point? And like I said before, everyone's saying it's going to be Eriksen, but are there any other players where you think Palace can really attack and hurt United?
Well, I saw Diallo against Southampton. I think he didn't have the best of games, but I think Diallo still is a solid option there. But I'll be honest, it does come down to Eriksen. I've just got the lineup now out on the phone because I haven't been able to really process it. And I think that Eriksen in midfield defensively, I think that's where you raise the biggest question. But then again, you can make the argument that it balances out with Kamada's defensive efforts as well. So based on the midfield options with Eriksen and potentially him being the weak link and Kamada potentially being the weak link for Palace defensively as well in that midfield option, I'm expecting a lot of transitions and moments in the game. But apart from that, I think Diallo, Ahmad, he's been very good for United. So it's good that Ten Hag started him. I was shocked when Ten Hag dropped him for the Liverpool game, because I think he's been one of your biggest threats so far this season. So that's the player that I'm really looking at, saying, on the other end, saying, we have to stop Ahmad in order to get something out of this game, because he's a player that's got the trickery and also has got the ability as well. We've seen it so far this season to hurt Palace defensively for us. Yeah,
that's interesting, because a lot of United fans will probably agree with you. Ahmad is one of, if not our biggest threat going forward. I've got one more question before I pass it over to Dan. Now, the last time he played you, obviously Elise, he's obviously left Crystal Palace right now, but he obviously had a very good game. He's scored a great goal, and now he's doing very well over at Bayern. Would you say that Crystal Palace still need to find a replacement for Michael Elise, or do you think that Nketiah being in that front three with Mateta and Eze, do you feel like he could grow into that threat that Elise brought?
So with Elise, I mean, I think he's got assists and a goal today as well. He scored in Champions League as well. Simply put, when he left Palace, there was no way to replace Elise, because, in my opinion, he's that good of a player and he's going to go to the very top. So if we wanted to replace Elise, then we have to spend crazy amounts of money on a player that most likely wouldn't want to join Crystal Palace. So what we've tried to do with our approach in the transfer market is try to replace Elise's output by signing 3 different attackers, which we've signed Kamada, Nketiah, and I forgot the last attacker and Sarr as well, Ismaila Sarr as well. So yeah, those are the 3 that we try to bring in to replace one player. I mean, that was a strategy. So, and that's how highly we rate Elise. So it was never going to be easy losing him. And I think he could be, in a funny way, the difference maker, because he's not playing today, of course, because he's left for Bayern Munich. And I think that was on top of other things as well, because United, last time out when we did face you lot and we beat you 4-0 at Selhurst Park, was that, you had your injuries. Your defence was, I think Casemiro was playing at defence with Johnny Evans. So it wasn't a fully strength United side, and Elise was pretty much a difference maker alongside some of the other players. So yeah, we've tried to replace Elise with the likes of Nketiah, who's been in the starting lineup right now, and of course Nketiah is no Elise, but I kind of do understand the approach for now from the football club. But going forward, I would like a player, maybe in terms of the flair, a player like Elise at the football club, which we were linked with a few, but we didn't end up signing.
Yeah, I think it's similar to when Aston Villa sold Grealish, and you can't replace a Grealish at that point. They sold him for 100 million. They're not going to spend 100 million on another Grealish, so they had to replace him with 2-3 over-attacking plays to kind of fill in that void that Grealish brought. But you have a question for him?
Yeah, just a quick one. You spoke about Mark Guehi being really tired. I saw the starting 11 against QPR, and there was a couple of first team, or starting 11 players, should I say, in there. So I just want to get your thoughts on them not having a rest and playing today.
Yes, I mean Glasner wants to take the cup competition seriously, so he's said that, and he does mean it. We had a very strong lineup against Norwich, and then after we went through to face QPR, another strong lineup. But the problem that we've had at Palace is that because of the Euros, the likes of Gahey, Walton, Eze, and even Dean Henderson to a certain extent, they joined pretty much 2 weeks before the season started, and some of them a week before the season started. And then we had Munoz in a similar boat with the Copa America, who's starting at right wing back, and Glasner actually said it before the game, saying that he needs a rest. We feel like he needs a rest, but he still wants to play. So in a way, we've been using the cup games as like an extension to the preseason games that they've missed for certain players. So Gahey, for that reason, has been starting the games, but a few other players like Munoz the manager has suggested that he does need a rest, and he's going to get a rest after the United game for 2 days anyways, not training. It's been a bit of a mess in that regards, because of some of our, even Mateta, he went to the Olympics and he joined literally with the squad 3 days before the season started against Brentford, and he was in the starting 11. So we've had a lot of our problems so far this season in terms of lacking that proper pre-season with the whole team, and that is the reason why we've started strong even in the cup games with likes of Gahey playing against QPR.
D, just quickly before I let you get off, because I know you've got to get to the game as well, but quickly, if you could take one player from Manchester United for your Palace team, who would you pick? And also score predictions for today as well.
One player from Man United. I'll get Ahmad.
I rate that pick.
Yeah, because we need a player down the right-hand side after losing Elise. As I said, a player with a bit of flair, still young, still got potential to grow even into a better player than he is right now. So he makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense for us if we had the opportunity anyways, which we won't do from here onwards. But in terms of my score predictions, I'm looking at this Palace side and I'm looking at United side. And if we do start the game strongly, I think United still... with Ten Hag, I know it's his first season, but I'm still not convinced that these group of players, even from what I've seen so far this season, that they're mentally strong if it goes against them, if anything goes against them. So if we start strong, I think we could get a result. I'm going for 2-1 Palace.
2-1 Palace. I mean, last but not least, do you think Erik Ten Hag is the guy to get Manchester United back up there? No. Outside perspective, everyone always says that.
Yeah, no, he's not. But then again, he still has won trophies at Manchester United. But then again, for a club like United, being a Palace fan, we should all be worried facing United. But unfortunately, I mean, there is still worry. Don't get me wrong. I'm still, I'm not saying we're going to thrash United, but I'm saying there are key weaknesses in that United side, and I think a lot of that also falls on the manager. So I mean, yeah, I don't personally feel like Ten Hag would end up, winning the league at United, which is what a club like United need to be aiming for.
Well, that's what the majority of people say when we do bring them onto the channel, but we obviously hope that is different. But look, Dee, thank you so much for your time and for joining us. Really appreciate all of your analysis there, and some really good stuff from you. So thank you so much, and we'll wish you luck for the rest of the season, but just not today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. All the best.
Cheers. Thank you. Cheers. See you later. Really interesting there. I mean, Ahmad was such a good pick. I mean,
I'm not surprised.
speaking of Ahmad, who you say he took there, I mean, he's gone with 2-1 Palace. I mean, I understand why, but anyway. But speaking of Ahmad, everyone get in the comments as well your thoughts on this. I mean, do you think, we've seen against Barnsley midweek, he's seen Garnacho get 2 goals and 2 assists, I think it was. He's seen Rashford pick up 2 goals and assists. I bet he's thinking, you know what, I need to show it again today, and maybe not just in numbers, but in terms of just having a really good game. Yeah,
my thing with Ahmad is he has good games anyway. Even if he doesn't score or assist, he just has a very good game in terms of just being able to, we spoke about it already, keeping the ball, keeping things ticking, creating chances. I think that Liverpool game, he came on and in 5 minutes he had the most touches in the box. That wasn't a coincidence. Yeah. That wasn't because we changed the style of play. It's just because that's just how he plays. He's more direct. He does more for that attack than the other players do. So, and it is unfortunate, like I said before, again, goals and assists are what people use to credit attacking players. And Rashford and Garnacho, they are getting their goals and assist numbers up this season. I think are they both above Ahmad right now in terms of goals and assists? I think so.
I think so, but Ahmad has the most chances created out of any Manchester United player.
Okay, fair enough. But I mean, the main ones are still goals and assists. Chances created, that does kind of show how much of a creative player he is anyway in the team. But like I said before, goals and assists, what people always remember. When we look back over the seasons, we're not going to look back at how many chances players created. We're going to look back and say, well, he scored this many goals, he got this many assists. So I think Ahmad is 100% going to be looking to get his name on that goal sheet, whilst also having a good game, which he does anyway.
Yeah, I think with Ahmad, it's so important that he's in the starting 11. I'm so glad he is still in there. I had a weird, funny feeling that Ten Hag might have played Rashford up front. Not played Rashford up front. I had a weird, funny feeling that Erik Ten Hag might have benched Ahmad and played Garnacho and Rashford and then Xerxes up front.
Oh, okay.
But he couldn't do that. The one time he did do that was against Liverpool. He didn't work out. Yeah. Ahmad came on, looked really good, and he's been playing super well. I mean, Daniel, your thoughts on Ahmad? Because in that Southampton game, I think he's created the most chances in a single game for Manchester United since like a game in 2016. So shows what he can do, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's competition time, really, isn't it? He sort of has to put his stamp on this game today, because if he doesn't, that's Garnacho and Rashford sort of for the next couple of games. You would think anyway, wouldn't you? Although Rashford's not even starting today. So.
Especially considering, even though Ten Hag is playing Ahmad, which he's had to fight so hard to get in that starting 11, and I think what he brings, you have to have him in your team for the balance, for that front line, and I think he's so good, honestly so good. I think he deserves a run of games 100%. But you still have that feeling in the back of your mind that
he's going to drop him.
Ten Hag still favours Garnacho and Rashford over him, and he's kind of being forced to play him right now. You have that feeling, don't you?
Yeah, and I think we're going to really know the next game against Spurs, because that is at home, Tottenham, big game. This is that lineup that he puts out, in my opinion, will really show what his best team in his head. What his best team is going to be, because I feel like he's going to bring Rashford back in for that game, because it's at home as well. So you're going to want to, I don't know. I just feel like that next game, maybe this game he's thinking, you know what, I can at least experiment a little bit. Let me experiment, drop Rashford, see what Garnacho, Ahmad and Xerxes are like as a front three. If it works, great. If it doesn't, I'm going to go back to what I know. I'm going to go back next week and go back to Rashford. So, but I'm interested though. Are you a Garnacho starting player, or are you a Garnacho come off the bench kind of player?
Starting, definitely, yeah. I think he's good enough. I think he just needs more time and more performances. I think top quality performances to keep him in the squad, obviously. I feel like in the last couple of games, the Liverpool game, he just couldn't get into it, I don't think. And I think
it's difficult.
It is quite hard, and I think in the future he'll be a great player. Obviously, I've seen the links with him going to Real Madrid, or people forcing that chat.
I don't think that's going to happen, in my opinion.
But United have got a great player on the hands. And how much did United pay for him? What was it, like 1 million from Atletico Madrid?
I think it was less. I think it was like something like, was it like 800,000 or something?
Yeah.
Close to 1 million. But
yeah. And you think what his price tag would be now? I mean,
times it by 10, you can
30, 40. Would you play him on the right or the left?
I think if Ahmad plays like he is today, I think Garnacho starts on the left.
But his best position, in your opinion?
Left, yeah.
I think his best position is the left. A lot of people say it's the right. I think he prefers left. I think his best position is the left. I think he can play both. Yeah. But get in the comments down below what you think. Interesting that you see him as a starter. So, what's your best team then? What's your best team?
So best from goalkeeper to
striker, go on
right?
Then.
Okay. So Onana in net, of Mazraoui at right back.
Is this including injuries?
Should we say no injuries? Because
you should say no injuries.
Yeah, okay. So sorry, Diallo at right back.
Yeah.
Then, just because Yoro's not playing in the Premier League yet, I'm going to have to go De Ligt and Martinez. Then Luke Shaw, obviously. Ugarte, Mainu, Bruno. And then, this is where it gets difficult. Højlund up front, definitely.
Yeah.
And then, I sort of don't want to include Rashford, because I feel like Garnacho and Ahmad will be better, but there's a bit of me thinking put Rashford in and then put Garnacho on the left. Do you know what I'm just going to say? I'm going to go Garnacho on the left, Ahmad on the right, Højlund up front.
Interesting stuff. Get in the comments down below. Do you agree with Daniel? I have a feeling a lot of people will.
But what's interesting? Sorry, I was going to say what's interesting about that. You would have put Euro in your team over De Ligt.
Well, not at this moment in time. Obviously,
not right now. But you said if he was fit.
Yeah, because I think. Yeah.
I'm just curious.
No, I know.
It's your team, so it doesn't matter.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I think when I see Euro there and playing a United shirt in a Premier League game, in a Europa League game, then I can judge him. Yeah. Can't judge him just at the moment. But I do feel like, and I tweeted this the other day, that De Ligt will have the same impact Van Dijk had on Liverpool, I think.
De Ligt will have the same impact Van Dijk.
Daniel, now you're coming into the show.
Yeah.
No, that's like world class second in Ballon d'Or level.
Well, he's got a manager who believes in him, hasn't he? And
I mean,
but the only best place that he's played at really has been at Ajax under Ten Hag.
Yeah.
So far, he's not had a really bad game against United. Although for United, sorry. The Liverpool game obviously wasn't his best, or wasn't the team's best performance. But I still feel like Delight's not had a bad performance in the United shirt.
Yeah.
So it's a big shout, but yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
He's definitely got the leadership. Still young. He's still only 24, I think. Or just turned 25 recently in August.
Captain at Ajax when he was 19.
Yeah, yeah. I like the positivity there. I'm very happy with Sanderlet. And do you know what? That goal from him last week, that's what I want more from our defenders. Obviously, defenders are there to defend and stop goals. The first thing is to stop goals from the opposition teams. But you see Gabriel doing the business for Arsenal, and you see Gavardio doing stuff for Man City. And I just think our defenders do need to contribute and chip in more off set pieces and off goals, with goals. And that's what De Ligt did, and it was refreshing. It was really refreshing. Kanate can do it for Liverpool, so can Van Dijk, like you were just speaking about. I mean, Romero does it quite a few times for Spurs. We don't really have a centre-back that can do that. You thought Maguire would, but he's just not really done it much in a United shirt in terms of chipping in with the goals. He does here and there. But De Ligt, you know, he's renowned for scoring a goal as a centre-back, and under Erik ten Hag, hopefully we see that a little bit more as well, like we did last week. I mean, this is really interesting regarding the bench for Manchester United. So obviously it's super strong. Collier not even on the bench. Obviously, he had to play out of position at left back, and poor guy had a rough 20 minutes, but he did get into the game, and fair play to him. You know what? Really, just showed his kind of work ethic and what he's willing to do for the team in that game, and obviously got a long way to go. But the fact that he's not making the bench, he did play for the under-21s today in the derby. That might be why, but also if Ten Hag really needed him, he wouldn't have played in the under-21s game. Yeah. But does that show that the squad depth this season is definitely gone up, and this starts to minimise the excuses for Erik ten Hag?
Yeah, I mean, from looking at I can't remember exactly who's on the bench, but from looking at it, it didn't necessarily seem like he would have played anyway. So I think, just like you said before, the fact that the under-21s played, and he obviously played very recently, give him a break, let him take a day off. He played this week literally, so it makes sense as to why he's not on the bench. I don't think it's a case of, I don't think he's good enough, he had a poor game, I'm going to drop him. I don't think it's any of that. It's just a context thing. He's played, there's players on the bench. Ugarte is probably going to come on in the midfield, if anyone was going to come on. Usually Bruno never comes off anyway, and he's not going to play my left back again. So there's no space for him right now in the team. And especially when Mount comes back in that midfield, now we've actually got that rotation, those players that can be rotated in the midfield. I feel like it's going to be maybe a few seasons. Collier's going to have to put in some really strong performances to say, I deserve to be an option at least into that midfield. He's going to have to put in some Manu-esque performances to say, you know what, my name should be in that conversation. This is going to be very difficult though.
Ricky sent me a comment on the team, if you want me to read it out.
Yeah.
So he said, don't think Rashford's injured. Garnacho and Ahmad are the best two. Simple as that. Although that doesn't usually matter with him. He's getting close to a good team here. Bruno is the fly in the ointment. Ugarte, Eriksen and Manu is the best midfield by some distance. Ugarte is on the bench because Eriksen played so well. So that's Ricky's thoughts. I mean, I disagree with the Bruno shout.
It's just Bruno. I think that's the one part of Ricky that he would never let go. Like everybody else, I think you kind of let go of. Bruno, he just can't come to the fact that he's good enough to play for United. I mean,
Daniel, what are your thoughts on Bruno? Because I think the majority of United fans absolutely love him. There is a few that do get frustrated with him. Obviously, Ricky would have preferred a midfield of Ugarte, Eriksen and Manu. I mean, we spoke about our favoured midfield being Ugarte, Manu and Bruno. What are your thoughts on Bruno Fernandes? And he starts the season, which hasn't really been his best.
Well, bar that Rashford season, Bruno's been United's best player, I think, since he's come in. You think that first season that he's come in, scoring, was it over 20 goals and assistant involvement?
Broke the record.
Yeah. He's played the most minutes, I believe, in Europe in the past year or so as well. He's just been the man that United have needed. If we didn't have Bruno Fernandes, I don't know what that midfield would be looking like. I don't think half of the chances would have been created. I get where the slander comes for Bruno sometimes, especially in big games. You think of the 7-0, I don't want to mention it obviously, but the 7-0, and he didn't act like a captain that game. But he's learning as well, like Ten Hag. Everyone's learning still, so...
No one's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I think Ten Hag believes in Bruno, and that's why he's the captain.
Yeah, I mean, I still stand by best signing post-Fergie. I stand by that.
Yeah.
And I think from what I hear about him behind the scenes, I think he's a really good captain. But obviously, you know, you've got to do the business on the pitch, and I do think he started poorly this season. And again, it's like game after game, I feel like I'm thinking, is this going to be Bruno's game? Is this going to be Bruno's game? And, you know, against Southampton, again, don't think it was a great game from him, but he did get that really good assist to Diallo that started the ball rolling, and he's capable of that. Today against Palace, I really just want to see a good 90-minute performance from Bruno Fernandes. So let's see on that. I definitely think there's going to be key players from the bench. I think Ugarte is going to be a huge sub that Ten Hag is going to have to make. Hoyland's going to be interesting to see if he gets minutes, you know, as well. Marcus Rashford coming off the bench will be really interesting.
It's about the time he makes it as well, because he waits too long in the game, and it's a difficult game for United, and he waits till the 70th minute, 60th, 70th, 80th minute. You're not giving these players enough time to have an impact on the game. That's why I like the fact that in the Liverpool game, half-time, Casemiro was clearly being outplayed in the whole game, so he dropped him. And yes, Collier didn't have an amazing game against Liverpool, but he made that bold decision to say, I need to make a difference right now. I'm not gonna like, just sit here and just let the team play just because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or anything. No, you need to make big decisions as a manager. So if the game isn't in our favour and it's half-time and he needs to bring on a Ugarte, he needs to bring on a Rashford, or I can't remember who else on the bench, or like even bringing a Hoyland or whatever. I want to see him make that decision. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid to hurt anyone's feelings. No, make those big decisions and change the game when you need to.
This is a really interesting point. If Ten Hag was planning to start Eriksen today, why did he give him 90 minutes against Barnsley? We're ahead by 3 goals at half-time and we won the game 7-0. Playing Eriksen 3 games in a row after he's not played in so long. It's strange. It's a strange one. Do you think it might change his mind?
Yeah.
Possibly, although I still see him going in January, I think.
Also,
although if he keeps playing games,
there were them rumours that Ten Hag, Ugarte wasn't really Ten Hag signing, but I do think Ten Hag will use Ugarte, and I do think, I don't believe it's like he didn't want him, but I just think usually with his signings they do come straight in. But interesting. He might
be running the price tag up. You know, there's some play like I think last season with McTominay, there was some times where he was playing him because we want someone to buy him. We want him to buy him for the most amount of money. Let him play for a lot. Get some minutes in and run up his price tag, because he can play for but somebody was good enough to play for a big team, not a big team, but a top level team anyway. It's just the fact that we hadn't seen him play a lot because he wasn't necessarily one of the best midfielders that we had. Eriksen, if you just kept him on the bench for most of the season, no one's going to buy him. And if someone does buy him, it's going to be a really low price tag. So, like you said, if you think he's going to go in January, but he better start playing some games before January so teams can actually see how good he is and his price tag will go up.
Negado Jamanka says, we are smashing Palace. Garnacho deserves the start. Abit Ghosh says, is Ten Hag Ricky in disguise? Eriksen started and Rashford dropped. Greg Hartley says, where's bloody Ugarte? Actually, massive shout out to Greg Hartley and his family, because Greg obviously works behind the scenes at United Stand as a producer for us and does a lot of other things as well. And he's just had a baby boy.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, him and his missus have just he didn't give birth, his missus gave birth to a baby boy. So congratulations to him and the family on there, to Greg and everyone. Say congrats to Greg in the chat as well. Dino Arman says Rashford can sub in at centre forward and left wing. Garner can only sub in at left wing. He can do right wing as well. Miles Doig says, so we've played Eriksen in the midfield against one of the most agile teams and bench Rashford when he's finally started to get going. Very confused. A lot of people are feeling that way right now. Anil Sekshar says, Eriksen and Bruno is a disastrous combination. Bruno will keep losing the ball and we will get overrun in the midfield. LJ says, when was the last time we said, now that's a good bench? Love from New York, you are all fabulous. Let's go United. Thank you very much for your super chat. And good point. It is good to finally have a strong bench. Yeah. Sanil Duwan says, why buy Ugarte if he has to be benched for Eriksen? Jeremiah says, as long as both strikers perform, it doesn't matter who is better. We need a squad, not individuals. Done that one. It is interesting that Eriksen was basically out the door in summer. Yeah. Genuinely, it seemed like he was bottom of the pile, was barely even coming on as a sub for Ten Hag. Now he's starting 3 games in a row. Weird.
Yeah.
I mean, he has played well, but you've got to look at the teams he's playing well against. I do really worry about the physicality in that midfield today. I think Erik Ten Hag might have got this wrong, but let's see.
But then, let's just say, I mean, to be fair, hopefully Eriksen has a good game today. Everyone wants him to have a good game. If he was to have like a damn near like man of the match performance, what's the conversation going to be now?
Be interesting. Rob McCormack says McTominay starting for Napoli now versus Juventus. Not a United player anymore, but wish him the best. Andrew says, what about long-term 3-2-4-1? Diallo, De Ligt, Shaw, Martinez, Ugarte, Ahmad, Bruno, Rashford, Garner, Rasmus, Martinez, Menu rotation. Not sure if that would work personally, but you never know. Yeah. Random guy says this might be Erik ten Hag's last game if we lose. Why not use your new signing? Why not use Rashford, who is in form? We need answers. Let's see what Ten Hag says in his comments, because he will get asked about this before the game in his pre-match comments. Still think if we lose, it's not Ten Hag's last game, by the way. But Daniel, did you want to come in then?
No, I was just that Ten Hag comments just threw me away. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, if we hope we don't lose. But, like, if we do lose, I still think Ten Hag's got a bit more time. But
yeah, that was the point I was going to make about Ugarte. Obviously, he's played in the Copa America, but before that, he wasn't really getting into PSG's squad, was he?
Yeah.
So, although he has been brought in, his fitness levels are not up there. And even with the likes of Eriksen, his fitness levels aren't up there at the moment, you could say. So, that's why he might have chose not to start him. And Barnsley is a bit of a lower risk game, isn't it?
Well, we've had comments on Ten Hag about Rashford being on the bench. And one thing I'll say is how I was completely wrong and you guys were right. Ten Hag said in his pre-match chat that Rashford is on the bench due to rotation, acknowledged how good Garnacho has been off the bench, and he also deserves to start games.
Yeah, it makes sense that this is what we want from Ten Hag, in my opinion. I'm genuinely I'm happy now to know that it's based off rotation. We can actually trust Ten Hag now to not be afraid to drop players in games, especially Premier League games. It's okay rotating against Barnsley or in the FA Cup. No, we need to rotate in the Premier League as well. That's how you keep your players from getting fatigued later on in the season when it's going to get more difficult.
That's not me. That shocked me because how much has everyone spoken about the Rashford favouritism? Always starts. And he's done 2 good games and now he's on the. But Garnacho has been knocking, and you know what? Is this Daniel? Does this show to the rest of the squad? If you perform, doesn't matter who it is, you will get an opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's how it is, isn't it? I think Ahmad, he's obviously played so well since the back end of last season. Even though he didn't start in the FA Cup final, he has been critical into how United, I think, have played this season. United look a lot better in possession. You can see the patterns of play that not necessarily were there last year, but you can see them this year, definitely. Yeah. I think Ahmad's a big part of that. So, yeah.
Quickly, guys, obviously before we go into score predictions and everything like that, we've got our league table. Daniel, you obviously only just come in, so you're not part of it, but we'll get your score prediction in as well, and for sure, and see kind of where you rank on that. But quickly, who is your one player that you want to watch out for today, specifically for Manchester United?
Good question. I reckon, let's go for Eriksen.
I was going to say him.
Yeah, Eriksen, because if United control the midfield, that forces Palace not to press United as much, and then we have to break them down. So,
it feels like Eriksen is going to be like that make or break for United today in the midfield, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is D-Day, isn't it, for him? Yeah.
I would say, I'm going to say Manu. Because the fact that you're saying Eriksen is why I'm saying
fair enough.
It could go either way. Manu could be genuinely like our only hope in that midfield if Eriksen's having a bit of a difficult game. And even when Ugarte comes on, we don't necessarily know. This is his first Premier League game. Yeah, this is his first Premier League game. Did he play against Southampton?
For who?
United.
Ugarte. He's only played against Barnsley.
Yeah. So Barnsley was his first game, and then obviously it's his first Premier League game. So we don't know necessarily how well he's even going to play. So I think Manu could have genuinely a top man of the match game if he has to.
Erik ten Hag on Ugarte as well. He said, needs time to get used to English football. He will be great for us, but we want to integrate him slowly and in a good way. So saying, he needs to get used to the Premier League and he wants to slowly integrate him and not put too much pressure on him.
Yeah, and as well, in that Barnsley game, that first half, I'm not saying he had a bad game, but in terms of like just fouls and being a bit rash, I said it on the forum, you can't do that in the Premier League. You can't have 6 fouls in the first half and not get a yellow card. Especially now with the referees, they're giving yellow cards for everything. Like, there's so many more yellow cards. I mean, there's been like twice the amount of yellow cards there's been now compared to last season. So last thing we want is for him to start a game, get 2 yellow cards in the first 15 minutes, and all of a sudden it's not 2 yellow cards, but get a yellow card in the first 15 minutes, and then it's a risk for the whole game now.
He did come on against Southampton, I've just realised as well.
Was that his,
for the back end of the last 10 minutes, I think it was.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he does today.
Yeah, I think he definitely will come on, but that is, if it doesn't, I would have played Ugarte, but if it does work out, that is the the benefits of having, you know, a bigger squad now is that you can afford to like integrate these players in, like I spoke about it. I mean, our midfield is definitely not got as good of a depth as our centre backs do now. But I was speaking how, you know, Euro, if we hadn't signed Diallo, we would have been rushing him to try and get him back. And he's only 18 years old. Not only do you have to get thrown into the pressure cooker of playing for Manchester United at that age every single week, and you have to perform. But like you've just had an injury and you're getting rushed back, and you could get another injury. You know, you've got Diallo, you've got Martinez, Maguire's playing well. Johnny Evans obviously is a senior pro who's done a good job for us. It's not as crucial that he, you know, he's thrown into playing 90 minutes after 90 minutes after 90 minutes. You can integrate him in, get him used to English football, and build his confidence, which is important. With Ugarte, it's a bit different because we generally don't have a holding midfielder that can out-and-out holding midfielder that can play. We know Casemiro's frailties and how they've cost us. So we are kind of counting on him. But let's see if this pivot of Mainu and Eriksen can work again. My player to watch today, I'm going to go Bruno. Because I was going to go Mainu because he's had a full rest now. And I think we'll see, hopefully, a really good version of Mainu today.
Wharton.
Exactly, that battle. I would have been more kind of counting on Mainu to have a top game if he was playing next to Ugarte, because I feel like Ugarte can benefit him a lot more to do what he likes to do. I do think he'll have to be a lot more defensively aware with Eriksen there, which does hold him back a little bit in terms of what he can bring going forward because he's so good. But I'd go player to watch Bruno just because he's not been poor. He has been poor. He's been poor by his standards. He's not been as good as what I know he can be, and when he's firing, it just brings the team up even higher to a level. So another level. So I want to see Bruno start firing, and hopefully he does today. Yeah. I want him to, like, because when he's on fire, he's so good for the team. Like, he's like the heartbeat of that Manchester United team, and he's been all right, but I think he needs to take it up a level. To be honest with you. Yeah. I'm surprised that Ten Hag didn't rest him for the full game against Barnsley, but apparently Bruno was telling Ten Hag he wants to come on. So yeah, apparently that was the case. So let's see. I don't blame
him. He got 2 assists, so it worked out.
He did end up getting them assists, and obviously Eriksen got the goals. Let's see if we can recreate that today with them both playing together. Yeah. Erik Ten Hag saying Garnacho needs more starts to get power, and just basically justifying his selection of Garnacho on that left wing. I don't think anyone questions Garnacho starting because of how good he's been. I think people are just, you know, shocked he has actually gone forward and put Rashford on the bench, who everyone's, you know, sees as Ten Hag's, you know, favourite, and kind of Ten Hag trying to dispel them rumours maybe, or I don't know. I think it generally just is rotation. But in terms of score predictions, Daniel, what's your score prediction?
I said before, it's either 2-1 or 3-2. I'm going to go, you know, it's an exciting game. Selhurst Park, 5:30 kickoff. I'm going to go 3-2 United.
3-2.
That's a close game.
Wow.
Oh, what goal scorers?
I'll go Garnacho, Bruno.
Yeah.
And I reckon Højlund will come off the bench and score.
Ooh, bold predictions.
Bold.
I like it. I like bold predictions. I went with a 2-0. I think we're going to keep a clean sheet just because I genuinely think our defence is improved so much over the past, since the start of last season. It's improved a lot. So I think our defence is the best part of the pitch for us. It's Onana as well. Let me not. Yeah, I think Onana's been decent. I don't think he's been. I think his problem this season has actually been the thing that we brought him in for. It's just been his distribution and playing out from the back. I don't think it's necessarily been his shot-stopping ability. So I think we're going to keep a clean sheet. And the 2 goal scorers, I'm going to go for Bruno. And let's get Amman on the score sheet.
Okay. So you went 2-0.
2-0, yeah.
2-0 Manchester United. Okay. I'm going to go 3-1 Manchester United. And if you actually look at the predictions board of the United Stand team's predictions, we're going to bring them on. I need to see it come onto my screen so I can read them out. Here we go. I'll just take a picture of that quickly so I can read them out. But obviously we've got these points going for predictions every week. You're top of the table before you and Kev. And Kev and Mordzs, who are both top of the table, have gone for the same 2-0 prediction.
No, bear in mind, I made my prediction 2 days ago.
Okay, so Kev's copied you.
That's all I'm saying. I made it a few days ago.
Well, I've gone with 3-1 to Manchester United. Feel like Eze might get a goal, potentially. I just do worry about Manchester United defensively still a little bit. Not because of our defence, right? Because I think our defence is solid. because of our midfield.
Yeah.
I think it's so easy to get through our midfield. So I think Crystal Palace will score, but I fancy us to score 3 goals. You know, we've scored 10 goals in the last 2 games. I know it's not against the most high quality of opposition, but I do fancy us to get 3 goals. And if you look at everybody else's predictions, you know, Kev's gone 2-0, Mordzs has gone 2-0, Greg's 2-0. A lot of 2-0s in that. Ricky's gone 2-0.
What, has everyone gone 2-0?
Mark's gone a 1-0 win. Sam's gone a 1-0 loss. Sam, get out.
1-0 loss?
Get out, Sam. Sam's got a 1-0 loss. Come on. Matt's got a 2-2 draw. I've gone with the highest score for Manchester United with 3 goals here, with 3-1, as well as you, Daniel. You've gone with a 3-2. Not as confident in our defence.
No, I just think that last season, some of the same players that played in that game, I think, like Eriksen and Maino, I think, started last year in that Palace game. And the root cause for the loss was those gaps in midfield and the defence being so bad. So,
defence has changed a lot.
Like you say, the defence has changed a lot, and that's why I think United are going to win.
Yeah.
Duran's come off the bench for Villa and scored again on a side.
Don't lie.
Mad.
I need to come see the highlights of that game.
Guy is actually mad. But Villa were down 1-0 and within like the last 20 minutes it's now 3-1 to them.
3-1.
So they just keep managing to pull out these results. Again, another big reason why we need to get this win. You're looking at top 4. I generally thought, you know, Villa were going to drop points. It was 1-0 to Wolves for so long. They suddenly managed, you know, mentality to dig in, turn it around, 3-1 win. You know, I get that Newcastle have lost against Fulham, but every single of our competitors this week is getting that win over the line, and we need to make sure we win this game. It's so important. Like, cannot even stress that enough. I think Rashford's going to score off the bench, though. That's my prediction.
I hope he does. I hope everyone scores.
Do you remember against that? Do you remember in that Wolves game where obviously he's not dropped this time because of disciplinary reasons? It is rotation. But remember in that Wolves game when he came off the bench and scored the winner?
I can't remember.
Yeah, when he got dropped for being late.
Oh, was that Wolves? I thought that was Fulham or something.
Nah, it was Wolves a little bit ago. So, yeah, that'll be very, very, very interesting to see if Rashford can make that impact, because he's definitely going to get minutes off the bench. 100%.
Probably coming in like the 60th, 65th minute. Come in, give him a good 35 minutes of football.
And the question is, can Garnacho do the business from starting, not off the bench?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think he will?
I reckon he will. I think he will. I think in some games he does get lost a little bit sometimes, especially when he starts. He doesn't have that impact, but it all depends on how Palace set up and if Garnacho can get him behind. And if not, he needs to work extra hard to try and break them down.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we have time for. Daniel, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Mords, thank you.
Thank you as well.
We'll be joined with Ricky as well for the fan forum, hopefully discussing a Manchester United win. It is so important. Back-to-back away wins, Selhurst Park, 5:30 on a Saturday. It is... I'm nervous. It is a big one. It is a go time. It's time to get down to business. But look, everyone, thank you very much for tuning in for the United Stand build-up show. Hit a like on the video on your way out. Go and raid Goldbridge's stream now and go and raid him with must win, and then whoever you think is going to score a goal for Manchester United. Hit a like on the video before you do that. Thank you for watching, everyone, and come on, Manchester United.